Would you rather only be able to eat pizza for the rest of your life or never eat pizza again? Now, before you decide, let's weigh this carefully. On one hand, eating pizza forever sounds amazing until day 100 when you're begging for a salad. On the other hand, never having pizza again means giving up late night cravings, birthday parties, and honestly, a part of your soul. That's the fun of Would You Rather. The choices are absurd, the debates are endless, and no one's life really depends on the answer. But what makes the game so entertaining is the fact that we get to choose. Now, imagine a different scenario. What if you didn't? What if someone told you, sorry, you don't get to decide, pizza is banned? Suddenly, the laughter stops. When the power of choice disappears, even small decisions start to feel like cages. And that's why this topic matters. Would you rather might be a party game, but in real life, the right to choose is serious. Choice is the foundation of democracy, the measure of human dignity, and the definition of freedom. Today, let's explore why the ability to choose isn't just fun, but it's fundamental. We'll explore why the right to choose matters, not in pizza or party games, but in our daily lives and society. Specifically, we'll look at 3 things. First, choice as autonomy, why the ability to decide for ourselves truly matters and is a basic human right. Second, why freedom of choice matters, from speech to careers to religion. And third, the threats to choice. What happens when governments, corporations, or even peer pressure starts making decisions for us? Because at its core, the question isn't just, would you rather? It's who decides. Choice represents autonomy, the ability to govern yourself. Autonomy is more than just independence. It's the recognition that every person deserves the dignity of making their own decisions. Think about it. The moment you were old enough to say, no, I can do it for myself, you were claiming autonomy. Whether it was just tying your shoes, picking your clothes, or deciding who to sit with at lunch, those choices weren't just about actions. They were about identity. Each small decision was a statement. This is who I am, and I have the right to choose for myself. Philosophers have long emphasized this point. John Locke, a 17th century philosopher, argued that liberty is rooted in self-ownership, that no one else has the right to rule over your body or your mind. John Stuart Mill went further, writing that over himself, over his own body and mind, the individual is sovereign. In other words, autonomy isn't a luxury, it's the essence of being human. And we see this reflected in modern values too. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted after World War II, recognizes the dignity and freedom of all people. Its authors had seen what happens when choice is stripped away, when governments decide what people can believe, who they can marry, or even if they can live. Their response was clear. To be human is to have the right to choose. Even in everyday life, autonomy shapes our sense of worth. Think about something as simple as voting. One single vote may not seem powerful, but the act of choosing, of having a voice in government, is what makes democracy different from dictatorship. Or take education. When students choose their classes, sports, or even clubs, they're not just filling a schedule, they're building their own identity. Without autonomy, people become passengers in their own lives, carried along by decisions made for them. With autonomy, they become drivers, free to steer towards the life that they want to live. So, choice isn't just about options, it's about ownership. It's about saying, this is my life, and I get to decide how to live it. So, why does this matter? Well, would you rather live in a world where every opinion and decision is yours, or one where everything is dictated by others? Freedom of choice is what allows humanity to thrive. If autonomy is the right to steer your own life, then freedom of choice is the road you get to drive on. It matters because choices are what define us. They're how we express who we are, what we value, and where we're headed. Take freedom of speech and expression. The ability to choose what you say and how you say it has fueled every major social movement. From Martin Luther King Jr. choosing to stand at the Lincoln Memorial and declare, I have a dream, to Malala Yousafzai choosing to speak out for girls' education. Freedom of expression allows ordinary people to challenge injustice and inspire progress. If choice was stripped away, those voices would have been silenced, and history might have taken a very different path. Or look at religion and belief. Around the world, billions of people choose their faith, traditions, and many other things, while others choose not to believe at all. This freedom protects dignity because belief means little if it's forced. The United States was founded on this principle. People fleeing religious persecution wanted the ability to worship or not worship on their own terms. That's why the First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, not freedom from it. Without that choice, identity and conscience are no longer truly personal. They're dictated. Then there's lifestyle and careers. Imagine your job, your city, and even your hobbies were assigned at birth. You'd wake up one day and realize your life doesn't belong to you. It belongs to someone else's plan. Yet, in free societies, we get to choose our paths. A student can decide to become a doctor, an artist, or a mechanic, or even a teacher. Someone might choose to move across the country, start a business, or stay in their own hometown and raise a family. Each of those choices builds a life story that is uniquely theirs. Even the American dream, that idea that no matter where you start, you can work your way towards success, is really about choice. It's the promise that your life isn't locked in by birth, but open to the choices that you make along the way. When freedom of choice flourishes, people create, innovate, and thrive. When it disappears, individuality fades. People stop asking, "What do I want?" and instead ask, "What am I allowed to do?" That's why freedom of choice matters, because it turns existence into experience and survival into selfhood. Would you rather live in a world where everyone else makes choices for you, or one where your choices are limited? If choice is so essential, then the real danger comes when it's taken away. And threats to choice don't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes it's a dictator tearing up a ballot. Sometimes it's an algorithm quietly steering your own clicks. And sometimes it's just the pressure to fit in until your decisions no longer feel like your own. First, government. Authoritarian regimes across history have thrived on eliminating choice. In North Korea, citizens don't get to decide what to read, what to watch, or even what haircut to wear. The government decides for them. In East Germany during the Cold War, the Stasi monitored conversations, letters, and even friendships. People learned to censor themselves because any wrong choice could mean prison. In each case, when choice disappears, freedom disappears with it. Second, corporations. The threats here are more subtle. We live in a world full of personalized feeds, targeted ads, and invisible algorithms. Companies may not ban choice outright, but they manipulate which choices we even see. If your social media feed only shows one political view, are you really choosing your beliefs, or are you just picking from a pre-edited menu? Psychologists call this the illusion of choice. It feels free, but the boundaries have already been drawn for you. Third, culture and peer pressure. Sometimes the loudest voices restricting choices aren't governments or corporations. They're the people around us. Teenagers who want to dress differently or adults who want to pursue unconventional careers often face ridicule, shame, or pressure to conform. And while no law forces them to change, the fear of standing out can be just as powerful as legal censorship. As social psychologist Solomon Asch showed in his famous conformity experiments, people will often go along with the group, even when they know the group is wrong. That's how peer pressure often erodes individuality, replaces authentic choice with fearful obedience. So, the threats to choice take many forms: visible dictatorships, invisible algorithms, and invisible pressures from those around us. But they all lead to the same result. People stop living as individuals and start living as copies of someone else's design. When the power to choose is taken away, whether by force, by manipulation, or by pressure, freedom doesn't vanish overnight. It withers slowly until one day people no longer remember what it felt like to ask, "Would you rather?" So we started with a fun game. Would you rather eat pizza forever or never eat pizza again? Fun to debate, sure, but not life-changing. Yet underneath the laughter is a truth we can't ignore. The real power of would you rather isn't the options, it's the facts that you get to decide. Because in real life, the choices are much more serious. Would you rather live in a society where your voice is heard, or one where it's silenced? Would you rather shape your future, or have it assigned to you? Would you rather live in a world where every choice is yours, or one where every choice is made for you? That's why the right to choose matters. Choice is autonomy, the freedom to be the driver of your own life. Choice is dignity, the ability to express yourself through your words, your beliefs, your works, and your dreams. And choice is democracy, the guarantee that power doesn't belong to a few, but to all of us. The threats are real, from governments that strip away freedoms, to corporations that manipulate decisions, to peer pressure that silences individuality. Every time choice is taken, a little piece of freedom vanishes with it. But here's the hopeful truth. The right to choose is not just something to protect, it's something to practice. Every time we speak up, every time we defend someone's right to live differently than we do, every time we vote or resist pressure to conform, we are strengthening the culture of choice. So maybe the real would you rather isn't about pizza or anything silly at all. Maybe it's about this. Would you rather take choice for granted or defend it as the foundation of freedom? For me, the answer is clear. The right to choose is the right to be human. And it's one would you rather that none of us can afford to lose. Thank you.